Hey everybody, I'm going to be making an Atom video today. We have some interesting developments. I'm just going to jump right into it. In my last Atom video, I had marked out some support boxes that I thought we could get a bounce off of, and we just so happened to get a very nice bounce off of this first box, which is the golden pocket for this move from these lows to these highs. It is also the top of this previous range that we traded in back here. Plus, we bounced off this area back in December, and if you take a fixed range volume profile of the last year, this is the highest volume node. And we got a very nice bounce from this area. Look at this weekly wick. Just the wick is about 22%, and from the bottoms to the tops that we just put in is about a 60% move. And I like the fact that we not only kind of stayed inside of this little range that we're forming here, but we also put in a higher low. So we're sort of establishing a new range that we're trading in, and it just so happens to be on top of this previous range. So overall, pretty good signs there. Today is Sunday, so a new weekly candle is going to open later today. And we do have a weekly green dot down here. Actually, just a few minutes before I started recording, the green dot wasn't here. So I guess it's kind of appearing and reappearing. But assuming that we don't see a large move to the downside in the short term, we are probably going to confirm this green dot later today. The weekly money flow looks pretty solid. It's been hovering right around the same area for about a year now, which isn't surprising because Atom has really been outperforming most of the market. It's maintained a pretty steady uptrend, while most other things have either been trading sideways or just bleeding, and that is reflected in the money flow. It is staying at these very high levels. It shows that money is still coming into the asset. And something that I saw in this weekly time frame, something that I wanted to point out, which may be a pattern that might be repeating. So starting back here in February of 2020, we had a very substantial drop, and the weekly time frame created a pretty big anchor wave, similar to what we saw in May of 2021. We saw a big dip, and we saw an anchor wave. After the dip in 2020, we saw a recovery, and then we were able to trade inside of a range on top of the previous range, which is very similar to what we are seeing over here. We had a big weekly momentum wave to the top, big weekly momentum wave to the top. Then we came down a bit, started printing some green dots down here, sort of like we are doing down here. And essentially, the biggest similarity is that we saw a big dip, a recovery, and then we managed to trade inside of a range that was on top of the previous one. And back here, we saw 3 weekly green dots and 3 tests of the bottom of the range before we were able to break out and start trading in a higher range again. Come into the daily time frame, the daily recently topped out, and we saw a bit of a correction from these highs that we put in, but it kind of looks like this daily momentum wave could end up continuing. We could print a green dot at some point and see continuation. And this kind of reminds me of December of 2021. You can see some similarities in the daily momentum wave here. We saw a pretty big bounce off of lows. Actually, this is when we bounced off of this same area for the first time. The daily momentum wave topped out, and we actually came down and got a perfect bounce off of the golden pocket of this move before we saw continuation and higher highs. So there is a chance that we could see something similar. Maybe we end up coming down to the golden pocket, which is at about $26 right now. This is also a very significant support and resistance level, so I could see us coming down and potentially getting a bounce off of this level before we print a daily green dot, and hopefully this move can continue. Overall, the daily money flow seems to be increasing since we have been trading inside this range, even though right now we're kind of coming down and we may put in a local lower low seems like the money flow is still increasing on the daily. But if you come down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that since late January, early February, the money flow has been steadily increasing, and we actually crossed over not that long ago. So this 4-hour kind of gives me hope that we may continue this little uptrend in the daily money flow. Maybe we can get it to cross over soon. Overall, I think Atom's looking pretty good right now. It's definitely showing strength and showing that it's holding up pretty well compared to the rest of the market. I like that we are staying inside of this range right here, and we are kind of continuing the uptrend that Atom's been on. And as long as we stay inside of this range in the short term, then I think we definitely still have the potential to eventually break up and start trading in a higher range. It looks like this weekly green dot's going to confirm later today. The daily looks like it still has potential to continue to turn around, and the 4-hour looks pretty good. So I think we could see some upside in the short term. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate all of the support, and I will see you all on Tuesday for my next video.